Okay. Well, hello, you all knuckleheads. How you doing? So, let me get this up and running. I am I haven't been on Twitch in ages, which is why I'm running late, and I apologize about that. All right, that's it. That's all the eating I'm doing. That's all the eating I'm doing. Okay. I do have one other thing I'm going to eat on stream, but I'll save it. Hello, Spash. Hello, Creamy. Hello, Game Day. Well, it's Frosty. I'm done eating. Hello, America Wheelman. Good to see you, pal. Look. Okay, I'm done. If you don't know what this is, we still do the Gabbit and the Games over on the YouTube. We'll be doing an episode of that today. But this is this is literally a catch-all show for things that are less about video games. We can talk about video games, but it's, whatever. It's very interactive. The Discord is open for calls. Blah, blah. The fucking rest. Most people who are watching this already know what's going on. And if not, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time because I've been over on the YouTube. What am I eating? I am eating... what am I eating? Listen, I was eating... a Dum Dum Sucker. I Intoxicated says, I heard an audible hiss from the audience when you said YouTube. Oh, Lord. I don't even get that. I don't even get why people have such a... Let me tell you something. I am evolved. I'm an evolved man. That's the goddamn truth. Hello, Hannibal. Good to see you, good sir. Because it's like Xbox, PlayStation, Twitch, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. It's just... Everybody has, preferences are one thing, but people are so goddamn territorial and tribal. I don't understand it. You hear Bruce Willis is stopping acting? Listen, I heard he was an asshole. I went and saw Kevin Smith live at the House of Blues 8 years ago. And one of the stories he told, and if you follow Kevin Smith, you probably... know this, exactly. Hegel is the cop-out story. He was just an absolute douchebag to work with and just full of himself. But yeah, today they announced he has... See, I didn't see that. Vicarious Nick says he has a brain tumor. I didn't see he had a brain tumor. I saw that he has, somebody in the chat pointed it out, it's called... alopecia. I'm kidding. It's not. Can you imagine? It's not alopecia. It's apasia, whatever the fuck. And apparently, it's a cognitive brain disorder that creates an inability or a difficulty in processing language in regards to hearing it and taking it in, and also expressing it. And Creamy Pixel says that's from a stroke. You get that from a stroke. So. I guess, now I haven't followed Bruce Willis in a long time. The last movie I saw with Bruce Willis was that remake of Death Wish that was directed by a guy who was in Inglourious Bastards. He also made the movies, the Hostel movies. What's it called? Eli Roth, right? So I'm watching that, and I thought that was really good, by the way. Death Wish was really fucking good. But I was just like, yeah, fuck it. The guy seems like a prick. But people have been saying that a lot of his stuff has been appearing in like really low budget motion picture shows. Like Redbox barely would carry them. And people are like, what the fuck is up with Bruce Willis? And apparently what he was doing is he's like, look, I got a year, 15, 18 months before I really can't work at all. And so he's been just taking, I don't know how much they paid him. My guess is relatively well because those movies can travel all over the world because they're just action fest. He's been taking ducats and just going, fuck it. I'll make whatever the fuck you want if you pay me my asking price. And he's been, hoarding up the money so he can kind of retire in a great deal of, not that he was already living in a lap of luxury, but, Frosty says, my aunt had aphasia. That shit I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. I have two questions. Question one is just for you, and question two is for everybody else, including myself, because I haven't really thought about it before. Question one is, what were the symptoms? Like, how does that manifest itself when someone is struggling with the language? Is it, what is a typical interaction with that person look like? The other question is the phrase "your worst enemy." What does that mean? Right? I mean, do I have a worst enemy? Like, does everybody have a worst enemy, even if you're the nicest fuck? Like, did Jesus? Well, Jesus probably did. But I mean, if you're the nicest guy on the planet, do you still have a worst enemy? It's just someone's got to fit in that slot, and it's the person that, even if you love everyone, it's the one person that you love a teeny tiny bit. Like, I'm trying to think, do I have a worst enemy? I must. I must. Let me think for a minute. Yes, Blake, we will talk in a moment. Dustin is my worst enemy. I like Dustin a great deal. Dustin from Last Media Standing. I'm a fan of Dustin and all those guys. I don't know Chris Raygun. I've never interfaced with him, never interacted with him. But I like Colin a great deal, and I like Dustin a great deal. Yeah, who is my arch nemesis, MacPack Games? That's a great question. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I had to think about it and answer the question, the only person I can really come up with, because most people I have compassion for, even people that I kind of take the piss on, like Sony PR, Game Day Sam, or even like Little Steven Totillo, in the video game world of journalism, the guy's just trying to make it. He's a squirrel trying to get a nut. He's doing the best he can. I don't really like him in terms of professionally, but I'm sure he's a good human out in the world trying to do the best he fucking can. And that's most people. But I would say the one person who would be my arch nemesis would be this guy who reached out on Twitter for a while. And it was really weird. It was really fucking weird. It was a guy who was part of this philosophical movement, I guess you would call it. And it was, he was very much, it was all about like European white people being like the chosen ones. And he was talking about, the Greek gods were real, and I was going to be murdered because I had disrespected the Greek canon. And, they don't call themselves Apolloians, but it's something like, it was like a weird subculture. Never heard of it. And then he started sending me, it wasn't white nationalism. It was not like they may have been that. But it didn't present as that. It didn't present as like we're the KKK, we're skinheads. It was more like we read Plato and we believe that Olympus was real. I don't fucking know. And yeah, Toby says that's just a mental illness. Yes, so he sent me pictures of my son that he was doing, like eagles were ripping his head off and all this really violent bullshit. And I was just like, I mean, I'm sure he's a mentally deficient human, and that's bad. And I feel bad for the guy. But man, I was just like, are you serious? Like, I think he was serious. Like, he literally believes that I have offended. And I wrote back to him and I was like, fuck it, let's get into it. And I says to him, I'm like, well, look, I've probably, and I don't mean to toot my own fucking horn, but I've probably created more interest in Greek mythology amongst a certain generation than Edith Hamilton did, than Ray Harryhausen did, than your English teacher did, through the games I got to work on with Sony. So you can sit there and say I'm disrespecting the Greek canon, the mythology. Fuck you. fuck you. But anyway, I don't know what they're called. Somebody in the chat was saying, let me expand this. All the follows, by the way, thank you guys very, very much. I haven't been on Twitch in a while. I appreciate you being here. Somebody's saying they're called the Greek, the mystical sect of Nazism. I don't know what that is, man, but that's interesting. Intoxicated says, you made it when a Greek mythological zealot attacks your family. That's right. That's absolutely right. Oh, it's not a name, it's a description. I don't know what the fuck it is then. It was really weird. It was really, really weird. So going back to Frosty, he says his aunt has this thing that Bruce Willis has. This is the symptoms. This is how it manifests. He says the person who suffers from this, alopecia, I know. They begin to be unable to communicate slowly, sometimes only being able to say one-word sentences. Eventually, she couldn't communicate at all. All she could do was stare at you. She was alive, but she couldn't interact with the world at all. It was messed up. Oh my God. So it's like she's trapped in her body. I mean, okay, I have to ask questions. So are you saying that, like, she's sitting in a chair, she can drive, or she's probably not, but she can drive her car and she can do a jigsaw puzzle and make her own dinner and all that, but she cannot communicate at all? I mean, is she capable of drawing or writing? Can she point to words on a computer? There's absolutely no ability. Like, she's trapped in a tomb of her, like a paralyzed person. That sounds horrible and horrifying. I can't. Oh, Mocha Chocolate. Hello, Mocha Chocolate. Thank you so much for the 100. I think these are called bits. I've not been here in a while. I forget what they call their little things, but bits is what they're called, I think. Thank you so much for that, buddy. I appreciate that. Blake says, hey man, God of War got me extremely interested in Greek mythology when I was a wee lad. This is what I'm saying. For me, it was, Edith Hamilton, her book, and it was a couple of really cool books and some movies. Okay, so somebody wants to talk about PS Plus. Sure, we can talk about whatever the fuck you guys want. Yes, STG says, is that part of the reason why Bruce Willis was getting dubbed in the last few direct-to-DVD movies? I did not know that was happening. I did not know they were dubbing Bruce Willis. I knew that he was making some terrible movies, but interesting. Yeah, maybe. That sounds absolutely correct. It would track. It would make sense. Let's talk about the first time you hired a prostitute, says Game Day Sam. I mean, we can talk about it, but I've already told the story. It was one time, or a sex worker, I'm sorry. It was one time. I was divorced. I went to Vegas for various reasons, like work and stuff. And I was there for a few extra days, and I said, well, I was actually in the process, I think, of getting divorced. I forget the timeline. And I was just like, I think it was like, when you walk, if you've ever been to Vegas, there's the Strip and there's people handing out flyers, and I'm just taking them. I don't know. I have nothing to do for 2 days. What's going on in Vegas? And I get back to my hotel room, and one of the flyers is the Bunny Ranch, the Chicken Ranch or whatever, which is a legal house of ill repute. And so I'm like, fuck it. It's safe enough, right? I mean, they get health through their job. They get tested constantly. Fuck it. Let me go. And it was an amazing situation for a handful of reasons. It was amazing to me because, first off, here's how it works. You go into, at least at this place, you go into what looks to be like a saloon bar. Okay. And it was, you sit at a bar. There was another guy there who was also a customer, and they'll serve you alcohol and whatever. I don't know if I had anything. I don't remember. Maybe a shot of Patron. And I'm sitting there and he's sitting there. And eventually, I guess you call him the madam, who's the woman who kind of is the game director of the experience. And she comes out and she says, okay, we're gonna bring out the ladies, which sounds just terribly objectified now, and of course it is, but she's like, we're going to bring them out. You can hang out, you can talk to them, drink with them, and if there's one that you want to spend some time with, let me know. So they brought all the ladies out. There's about 15 of them, and they were all, types and sizes and ethnicities and personalities. And there was one woman who was, I don't know, she must have been in her 20s, and she had kind of medium shoulder, brownish, blackish hair, very cute. She might have had a little bit of Asian in her, and like she's probably a little Eurasian, but not 50-50. And she just seemed like the girl next door kind of type. And I was like, hey, we talked it up for a few minutes. I was like, let's go fuck. I didn't say that. I don't know what I said. I don't know what the words I used were to say, I've chosen you to be the recipient of my brilliance. I have no idea. And so we went back, and I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's like at a barber shop where everybody has their own chair. Do they have their own rooms? Do they share rooms? And she just happened to check, hey, I'm in here. I have no idea. So we went back to the room, and we, hung out for a while, and eventually it was crazy. I was so good. I chatted her up, and my flirting skills were great, and I was using the mystery method of pickup artist, and she actually slept with me. It worked. Who knew? And we ended up moving on to the sexy time, and it was okay. It wasn't like, I think I could be wrong, but I didn't like it enough to go, I want this to be a regular part of my life. It was more one of those, like, I need to try this. This is interesting. But what I'll tell you is, my guess is most people would have that experience that I had. And then if they were in a situation where they would do this on the regular, I imagine you would really start to have fun, because obviously, you're in bed with a very experienced person who has lots of skills and tricks and knows a lot about the people, the type of people she sleeps with, in this case, men. But I think the first time it's so, not shocking, but it's so weird. And plus you have to understand that was also the first time I had sex since I had, was planning to get divorced or was divorced. So there were so many new things about it that I couldn't just really relax into it and go, holy shit, that was amazing. And so, but that's my story. There you go. Have I danced for you? Have I danced like a fucking good monkey, you motherfucker? Okay, Toby the Yorkie says, going back to PS Plus, I'm so used to YouTube where I click and it comes on. I'll figure out a way to get your messages on screen over the next couple days. Going back to PS Plus, he says, it's bullshit. It's bullshit that Weird West, which I'm very much looking forward to, comes out tomorrow. If you don't know what Weird West is a isometric action RPG from a bunch of guys and girls who broke off from Arcane, which are the makers of like Dishonored and Deathloop. And it is a supernatural Western where you play 5 characters. I think it's not like you pick one. I think you play them all in the course of the story. And they have very weird powers. Like one can turn into a werewolf and shit like that. But it's kind of like a Western shoot 'em up with supernatural elements. Okay. But it's an action game, but it has a lot of the DNA of games like Fallout 3, and there's a lot of choices that change the story, apparently. There's a lot of RPG elements, a lot of items you can collect and kit out your character and stuff. So I'm very much looking forward to it. So this is coming out tomorrow, day 1 Game Pass. You have to pay for it everywhere else. So Toby says, look, going back to PlayStation Plus, it's bullshit, he says, that Weird West couldn't be on a similar service day 1 like Game Pass. Same with MLB The Show. I need to make sure I understand this comment because it's written oddly. I'm sorry, Toby, but you don't write well. Or maybe you do, but you're drunk. Or maybe you're fucking the same woman I fucked in Vegas. My God, that was mine. Listen to me. It's bullshit, says Toby, that Weird West could not be on a similar service day 1 like Game Pass. I don't even understand your point. Are you saying it's weird? Why couldn't it be on PS Plus? It could. Just like Shadow Warrior 3 came out a couple of weeks ago, and that was a PlayStation Now exclusive if you wanted it day 1. And I loved that. I was like, hey, is this the shape of things to come for PlayStation Plus now? Because then that was the first time I'd turned on PlayStation Now in 8 months. And the only time I had turned it on before that, 8 months prior, was just to do it on the stream to show people how it worked, because a lot of people hadn't played it. Hello, Andre Maple Glow. I know I'm behind in the chats. I apologize. I paid for sex one time, says LeBron, and what a goddamn awful experience. She got a call halfway through, started crying, and told you had to leave. Okay, but that was like, was she a professional prostitute that you're having the sexy time with? Or she's just like some lady, some girl in college who's like, oh, yeah, I'll fuck you, but you got to pay me $50. I mean, or like a professional did that? And I know Mutant Mo over on the YouTube's always telling me it's sex worker, and I don't say prostitute disrespectfully. I didn't know. It's only in the last year I've learned that term is not appreciated by folks in that line of work, and it is sex worker. But it's going to take me, it's going to take me a handful of months to sort of reprogram my brain. Blake says, "What the fuck? I'm behind another paywall. Paywalls are everywhere. You got a bunch of ads? I know there's one ad that runs in the very, very beginning. So, okay. Okay, hang on. If Bacon were here, he'd probably ask if I peed on her. I'm sure there is someone. Hey, what happens if I click this? Click to reply. What does it do? Oh, it actually just lets me type it. It doesn't bring it up. If Bacon Magma were here, he'd probably ask if I peed on the prostitute. My guess would be that, there's probably somebody I could go in there and I could say, hey, is there anybody I can pee on? Or is there somebody that can pee on me? I have to assume that they, are set up to support, within reasons, various fetishes and whatnot. I don't know, but I would have to assume. STG83, thank you so much. He just hit us with our first subscription via Prime on here on the Twitch. I appreciate that, buddy. If you have a Prime membership, like for all your groceries and games and movies and all that, I just want to let you know, yes, you can subscribe. It won't cost you $1. It'll just cost you that one sub for the month, and I would appreciate it. But thank you, STG83. It's very kind and courteous. So Brett Moore, you tried a prostitute once. You were 24. You chickened out. Really? No, this, I'll tell you something. So somebody's asking, did my beard, which I didn't really have a beard at the time, but stubble, whatever, did it scratch her vagina? So I wouldn't do that because they're, I know they're healthy. I know they're checked out and stuff, but I had a condom. You goddamn right. It was a heavy duty condom. I couldn't, and I do enjoy, I'm not gonna lie to you, I do enjoy giving oral and receiving, but giving it, a lot of guys don't like to do it. I don't understand it. But I enjoy that. But I would never do that with like a sex worker, because that you might as well just sort of crack open a can of what is the official word for the liquid that gets expressed through the vagina during sex? What is the word for that? What is the word? I'm maybe I have the Bruce Willis disease. I'm like, what do we? But you might as well crack open a can and drink it and go, I don't know where I got this from, but drink it. It's just like So I won that close to her vagine with my mouth to tell you what happened with scratching it. So no. Okay. Sorry. Oh, hello, Morgan. Good to see you, buddy. I'm reading. So does this mean that Twitch is a regular thing? Yes, Twitch. Just so you guys know, if you don't know what's going on here, the Gavin Games will continue as it is on the YouTube, and that's going to be anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week, depending on the news. It's always going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going to do one tonight, but I was finding, and I think I'm right about this because I listened to the show, Monday night show, in my car the other day or yesterday. I'm finding that the show for people who come to just talk about video games and want that data is better and more focused when I limit it to super chats and phone calls. But I didn't want to lose the immediacy, which is this. But this is the kind of show that's good live. Some people like to play it later. But, it's all over the place, as you can tell so far. And I wanted to kind of separate those two. So, yeah, the morning show, although this didn't become a morning show because I had a lot of shit going on this morning. But what I'm calling at the moment, Poop Shoot, as in shooting the shit, will be on Twitch because I don't want people coming to my YouTube and going, this is not game content. And then all the game stuff stays over on the YouTube. Okay. Let me look at the chat. MacPack Games, thank you so much for dropping the bits in there. He says, "What is your most anticipated WrestleMania match this weekend?" me tell you one thing first about that. I am so bummed that there is no way to party watch WrestleMania. I would love to do a stream and watch WrestleMania with people. And I understand you have to pay for it. I'm not saying I'd want to cheat, but I would love that because it seems like, you know, nobody in my home watches WrestleMania. They don't care about wrestling. My daughter went with me to a live Raw or SmackDown, I think it was Raw event once, and she was like, yeah, it's kind of fun, but it didn't turn her into a fan. So I would love to watch MacPac WrestleMania with a bunch of people. But that said, though, I honestly haven't been following it. I think, isn't it Seth Rollins is going to fight someone that Vince McMahon is refereeing, and he's going to just randomly pick someone? Not randomly, but, you know, obviously it's all set up, of course, but they haven't announced who Seth Rollins is fighting. That's interesting. I think Becky Lynch, who is Becky Lynch fighting? Is it, it's either Charlotte Flair or Bianca Belair again, but apparently she's putting her belt on the line again for this battle. I always like to watch the ladies wrestle. I don't know, is Ronda Rousey in it this weekend? I'm looking forward to surprises. I'm just looking forward to kind of having it on the background while I, you know, work on the stream and update the visuals and try to get Twitch up and running. And then obviously it'll take my attention. And if you don't know, I mean, it's on Peacock now. Actually, it's on Peacock. So you don't even need to buy a pay-per-view. So I don't know, man. I don't know. This is STG saying, locking PlayStation 1 and PS2 backwards compatibility behind a PS Plus Premium does not make Sony look good. They are taking cues from Nintendo. I mean, look, I will believe it. I will believe it when I see it. I will believe the fact that backwards compatibility as something people want to pay for in and of itself is more than a niche audience that wants to be served when I see it. And it may be. But I will tell you that, and again, I can't help it. I mean, people, you know, somebody online today says, I'm going to fucking unfollow you because all you do is hate now on Sony. I'm like, I'm not hating on Sony. I've been playing PlayStation 5 exclusively for the last month. I love Sony, but I love all the companies, and I can't help it if I'm admiring some of the forward-thinking stuff that Xbox is doing. So let's take backwards compatibility just for a moment. Well, look, I don't even think about backwards compatibility in Xbox, right? I'd simply go to the Xbox store. If, like, there was a big sale, people, I think Rob the Mod was telling me about it a couple weeks ago. There was a big sale. I'd never played Bully before, and I'd never played Manhunt before. Both of those were on sale for the Xbox 360. I didn't have to have a subscription to anything as far as I know. I went to the store, I bought each one for like $4.99, and it just works. I'm not thinking about backwards compatibility. Just like when I bought the original Dead Space 2 2 years ago on Steam for under $5 in their under $5 sale. I'd never played it before. I bought it, I loaded it up, it just works. There's no concept of backwards compatibility. And so in that, I think it's appealing, right? Because as a gamer, you just go, geez, it's older, but who cares? That's cool. But the minute you put it behind a paywall, which is fine, if that it may work, it may be what Sony needs to do, I don't care. But the minute you put it behind a paywall, it becomes something that you become aware of, that you're paying for, that, you know, it's almost like backwards compatibility shouldn't be something most people are aware of. Just like if you stream a movie off Netflix and it's made in 1939, let's say it's like Casablanca, and then 5 minutes after it's over, you watch Spider-Man Far From Home and you stream that from Apple TV, you're not going, oh, my Apple TV is backwards compatible. You're just like, oh, I want to see that movie, and it works, right? If somebody were to say, pay for that convenience, I don't know. It does seem a little weird. But that may just be what they want to do. I don't fucking know. I've gotten a bunch of people coming at me all week going, Sony's in first place, Jeffy. Why do you expect them to do anything that the last place person is doing? And what's funny about it, I mean, what's funny about it? Let's go with that one. What is it? Funny? What's funny? That's an adjective. What's funny about it is that they want to paint themselves as the Sony warriors. Like, we really love Sony PlayStation. You must hate it. You're a hater. You're an Xbox now, blah, blah, blah. Xbot, whatever they call them. And I'm like, motherfucker, I'm telling you, now I don't know if what Microsoft is doing is the future of distributing games. I have no fucking clue. Neither do you. Nobody knows. Everybody's guessing, including the people who work at Microsoft and Sony. But I will tell you that oftentimes the person most desperate, which is oftentimes the person in last place, will lash out and go, fuck it, we got to try something. And a lot of times that fuck it, we got to try something attitude brings disruption, and that disruption brings change that affects everybody else. So if you're in first place and you really care about somebody being in first place in a fucking multi-billion trillion, in the case of Microsoft business, you would advise the person in first place, just like if you're a coach to look, if you're a coach to a boxer and he goes out there in the first 3 rounds, he's like, this is fucking easy. What the fuck? And you know, people are going, watch out, your opponent's doing this. He's like, fuck you. I'm clearly winning every round. And then the 4th round comes around and the Russian coach tells Drago whatever that magic word was, and he beats the shit out of Apollo Creed and kills him. Ultimately, if you want to stay in first place, you can't be complacent, is my point. And so I don't know if this is going to work for Sony or not. I honestly don't care. I don't give a fuck. Games are not going to stop being made. The people I love at Sony, who are incredibly talented, will continue to make games for other systems. I don't care if I woke up tomorrow and Sony was out of business, or Xbox. I mean, I would care because I don't want people to be scared and people lose jobs. But short of that, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? I can't get my head around it, man. All right. Yeah, it's called the golden shower when somebody pees on you. I had a I guess they were sex workers. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but I will later if you want to hear it. But it was a first year in college. I had done this crazy stripper birthday party for my best friend who came out to me with Alabama to go to USC. And it was awesome. It was fucking, I mean, I was like, oh my God, these ladies did everything. And I mean, it's like, what the, and this was at the height of AIDS. I'm like going, how the fuck? We emerged from that dorm suite, which I think was called Century Towers on USC campus. How we emerged from that without all kinds of crazy fucking diseases, I can't tell you. Okay, but he makes it up to me. He says, okay, your birthday's coming up. His birthday's in February, mine's in April. Your birthday's coming up. I'm going to get you a surprise. So we're doing this. We're having the ladies come. And the next thing I know, both of them are standing over me. I'm not wearing a Stitch clothing. They're not wearing a Stitch clothing. And they're standing over me and they're looking like they're about to pee. And I'm like I said, wait a second, are you going to pee? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, hang on a second. I go to my friend. I'm like, what? He's like, that's golden showers. I'm like, what is that? So that's where they pee on you. What? I don't want anybody to pee on me, you moron. So, that party very quickly, dissipated. All right. Let me go to these chats here. If you are subscribing, thank you. If you are dropping bubbles or bits or whatever, thank you. I don't have any of that set up yet. And so I don't really know what's happening other than people are subscribing, which I appreciate. So if I happen to miss you, I won't in the future if you come back. I haven't been on Twitch in a while. Izzy's Curse says a lot of gamers enjoy PS1, PS2 games. There's a metric ton of Japanese games that are phenomenal. I agree. I'm not poo-pooing old games. I enjoy some old games. I'm just saying that I don't think that is your bread and butter in terms of people you need to please to subscribe to a service. I don't think there's enough people out there that are like, hey, maybe there's a relatively meaningful number of people out there that for a month or two would go, oh, cool, man, I can subscribe to this new PlayStation tier and I can get all these old games. Cool. Well, it's the same feeling I had when I went to Steam, it's the same feeling I had when I was just getting into the internet and I learned what MAME was, which was the arcade thing, or I learned what the Internet Archive was, where they had all the old video games that I had ever grown up playing and I could play them in my browser. And I was like, this is the greatest day ever. And then after about 3 or 4 days, I was like, okay, I'm over it. A lot of it's nostalgia, the stuff that's not. Okay, I'll play it every now and then. Well, if I had to pay for that every month, I'd pay for it for 1 or 2 months, and then I'd be done with it. I have not watched Moon Knight yet, Boss Man, but I am looking forward to it. So Masochista says, that's one of my disappointments. It does not sound like any of those games will have enhancements like FPS boost or auto HDR. No, they won't. And to be fair, I mean, Xbox, my understanding is Xbox had a whole team of people that were handcrafting those upgrades. And it would be nice if Sony could say 90% of these games we're not going to touch, but they work. But yeah, we'll go back to Shinden. And we'll put in some trophies. We'll fix some stuff, you know. But I just don't think it's that high on their priority list. I guess people, says Maple Glow, that want backwards compatibility are in their 25 to 30 year range. Young people don't give a damn about retro games. I think young people do give a damn about retro games when they become 25 to 30. It is a very normal, natural, and I would assume if I was a psychologist, healthy response to have nostalgia for what you loved growing up. And so I'm sure a lot of it is that. What I wonder is the vast majority of my experience, my friends' experience, and people online that I engage with experience is we all have that nostalgia. I don't have it anymore. I'm 50 years old. I've squozing that out. Now I have nostalgia for when my kids were little, okay? But I don't have nostalgia anymore for being a kid of the 80s playing in the arcades. I mean, every now and then, but not as often. But all the experiences I've had and heard about it's very short-lived when you actually have the experience. Like you're like, okay, let me get my Atari from 77. Cool, that's awesome. It's in. It very quickly is like, okay, I'm bored. I need something else, right? I imagine that's just a normal thing. And maybe, I don't know if it's true, but maybe that's where a lot of the passion for this is coming from. Who knows? I wonder, you know what I wonder? I wonder if you could go back in time. Like, I always think that. I'm like, oh, I would love to just have a day where I could go back in time knowing what I know now and be the dad I was again to the kids when they were like 6 and 8 or 4 and 6. Or I wish I could go back in time to when I was just feeling so secure and safe as a kid, when I was like 10 years old, and to spend the week in that world of 1980, 81 with my parents and my brother and my sister and my nieces and nephews. But I wonder if you actually did do it. Would it be like playing the Atari? I wonder if you would go back and it would just be like after an hour or two, you'd go, okay, this is weird. I don't want to do this anymore, you know, because maybe all the cracks start to expose. It's like, yeah, my family was loving, but they were dysfunctional as fuck as well, you know, or yeah, this was great, but in order to figure out when a movie started, I had to literally go to the grocery store and buy a paper and then open up the paper and find the time. There was no movie phone. There was no internet. It was literally, you have to have a news fucking paper to figure out what movie's showing at the goddamn movie show. So I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Jaffe says, Mr. K, can you make sure to leave the video on demands of these Twitch streams up? Yeah, I am. And I'm actually going to bring them over to a new YouTube channel I'm doing, which is just going to be a catch-all as well. Political videos like this. So it'll be on YouTube and it'll be here. I'm sorry, I'm just going through the chats right now, fellas. I don't mean to bore you. Again, if you want to call in and talk live, you can do that. The Discord's wide open. All right, hang on. Yes, first time caller, first time chat, Incredible Leaf. Yes, I'm taking calls. Okay, 1 second. I apologize, fellas. I haven't been reading this because I've been talking. Last night I dreamt, says Fupy, of the Titanic, and Jim Ryan was holding me like Leo DiCaprio who held Kate Winslet. I never wanted to wake up again. What would be weird about that is if you actually did have that dream. What is my dog barking about? Hey, do the Ace emotes still work? Is anybody actually a member? Somebody dropped a Prime sub. Do you have emotes that are exclusive to this channel that are like my dog? If you actually had that dream and you woke up and you were like, really like, that was romantic. I wonder what that would be like. You go to your therapist, like, here, I had this dream about the guy who runs Sony and I was like totally in love with him. What does that mean, doc? I mean, there's a theory, not even fucking with you. There's a theory that, and I like this one because it tends to bear out value whenever I analyze my own dreams, that says if you analyze your dreams by looking at pretty much every major character and or scenario in your dream as a part of you and ask yourself, what part of me does that represent? You can actually do a lot of valuable self-learning when you look at your dreams that way. So yeah, it would be like, well, what is Jim Ryan? If I were to dream about being romantic with Jim Ryan, okay. If I were to dream about being romantic with Jim Ryan, who, if you don't know, runs, the PlayStation group, what would that stand for? For me, I would wake up and say, maybe Jim Ryan represents my days and time at Sony, where I worked with them and for them for over 20 years, and really spent the vast majority of my young adulthood, and just it was wonderfully exciting and cool times. It would represent my time at Sony, and being romantic with him on the Titanic would probably, a few people like, dude, I'm just fucking around. Shut the fuck up. It would probably represent to me, because the Titanic is obviously a voyage of the damned, not the damned, but the dead. It would probably go a real understanding and a real appreciation of those days are over, but I can still look back at them fondly. Maybe something like that. I don't fucking know. Yeah, I don't even know what subscribers are or followers. Like Blake, I think you just subscribed, right? Which I appreciate, buddy. I do. But I think you did that with Amazon Prime, which means you're called a subscriber. I'll figure it out. I'm sorry, you guys. Blake, speaking of Blake, says Nintendo makes boatloads of money off old games with every new hardware release. Sony is officially in nostalgia territory. Yeah, that could be their play, and it could be great. It could work. Blah has a pot from the Elden Ring as a little icon. I love that. Okay, let me check these. I'm gonna jump ahead. So if you wanted me to talk about something that I'm not talking about, just repost it, because I need to just jump ahead, because I can't catch up. It'll put me too far behind. X Power Live, thank you so much for subbing with Prime. Blake, thank you so much for subbing. Now I'm starting to get a hang of it. Come on now. Yeah, Jaffe Whisper says rockin' in Jim Ryan's ears, $70. Well, no, this is what it would be like. It would be like this. It would be, I would play the role of Sean, right? And I would be like, Jim, $70. I love you. And Jim would be like, that's what I think it would be like, or it should be like in my fantasies. So it's interesting. Spazbo says, I'm back. I just finished watching episode 1 of Moon Knight. I can't wait for more. And then over on the Discord, it's Tutankhan says, this Moon Knight show hurts to watch. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where we go. All right, I'm going to bring in the Incredible Leaf, who's in the Discord. Incredible Leaf, are you there? Hello? All right, well, I'm here if you want to talk, Incredible Leaf. Get in there and say your piece, pal. Okay, subscriber, says Mr. K, equals paid member, whether cash or Amazon. I got it now. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, Incredible Leaf is in the chat, so if he wants to speak in the voice chat. If you have Amazon Prime, says Power, you can sub for free. You have to do it every month. Jaffe, I believe you set up subscriber benefits. Maybe try and get it ad-free. Okay, I will do that. Thank you, sir. Okay, Masochista says, what are your deep and philosophical thoughts on the Will Smith versus Chris Rock situation? Okay, well, it is so fucking weird, man. It is so fucking weird, because, I mean, I know it's just some stupid fucking Oscar thing, but this is a richly textured situation. There are so many things at play in this. There is classism, racism, sexism, the state of masculinity, the value of celebrity in 2022 versus in the past when the Oscars were in their heyday. This thing has so many tentacles that really speak to hot button issues in popular culture and just the psychology of humans in 2022 in the Western world, that it's hard to really parse it, because every time I think I've got it figured out and I have an opinion, someone else shares something. I'm like, oh shit. So like, for example, I think, I started off thinking what Will Smith did was really bad and wrong. And I still fundamentally think that. But at the same time, I've heard a number of black female activists, like my friend who's very much into the world of, she's a white woman, and she's like, after George Floyd, she really dedicated a lot of her time to reading. She's taken classes online at Harvard, taught by a black professor about the black experience in America. And she's become very engaged in sort of being a white person, learning about how much she didn't know about race in America, which I applaud her for. And I appreciate when she shares, what she's learned with me from time to time. So she's talking to me and she's like, yeah, but the black woman thing, black women are really shat upon, even by black men. They're always being picked on. They're always being made fun of and all this. And I was just like, yeah, but so I heard all of that, and I know there's a large percentage in the black community that is standing with Will Smith and saying they get it, they understand it. There's a lot of white people that are like, this is ridiculous. But a lot of those white people, there's absolutely a racist aspect to it. Like, I mean, everybody's racist, nobody's racist, right? But I don't walk around thinking I'm a racist person. But I don't think my response when I say I don't think Will Smith should have done that is coming from racism. Some people are like, see, that's what happens when you let all the black people into the Oscars. Okay, you're a fucking idiot. The people who think that. For me, my knee jerk is two things. My knee jerk is she wasn't being made fun of, right? Even if she was, so what? You're fucking one of the wealthiest people on the planet, sitting front and center at the Oscars, and there's a comedian on stage. What? Really? Go sit somewhere else, Jesus fucking Christ. But, and also the fact that the G.I. Jane joke wasn't you're ugly. It wasn't you were bald because chemotherapy and I hope you die of cancer. It wasn't you're hot and I want to fuck you and I'm going to say that in front of your husband. It was, hey, you're bald. That's unusual for people at the Oscars. Just like when Cher came and wore that crazy outfit. You should be in G.I. Jane, the sequel, because, hey, she was bald. I mean, that was it. There was nothing saying she looked... I don't like Jada Pinkett Smith as a human. I think she's kind of a pain in the ass, but I thought she looked beautiful. I've never looked at Jada Smith, and I mean, once I did. When she was in not Boomerang, what's it called? When she was in Nutty Professor, was the only time I ever looked at Jada Smith and thought, wow, she's fucking hot. I think she's really, really attractive. But I've never looked at her since then as anything other than like, oh, she's in The Matrix and she's in Gotham and whatever. I thought she looked great. So I didn't get it, but I also get it enough to know that there have to be things that I don't understand about the black experience in America and the black female experience in America. So of course I don't think, even with all that, it's okay to hit somebody. But at the same time, because I've become more aware that there are different angles to this. It doesn't mean I support what Will Smith did, but I know enough now to know I don't know enough to have a very well-baked view on it. And so that's kind of where I'm at with it. And then even the Jim Carrey thing, you had to have seen that. Jim Carrey came out the other day or yesterday and said I was sickened by the standing ovation that these guys gave Jim Carrey, Will Smith. And I agree, it felt very spineless. But then this morning, there's the footage. Now, again, it was a long time ago. People evolve, people change. But from like the 2008 MTV Awards, you literally see it. He walks up on stage. He grabs Alicia Silverstone. It doesn't matter about the age difference. They could both be 19. But what adds to the creepiness is he was 35 and she was 19 at the time, grabs her, doesn't ask her, doesn't lean in like to mime that he's about to kiss her. And so she has even though he shouldn't do that either, but at least she has a moment to respond. He grabs her head like a melon, pulls her in, and gives her a big fucking kiss. Whether it was tongue or not, who the fuck knows? And she's just like patting him on the shoulder, and she kind of backs off. And I'm like, okay, well, Jim Carrey, I mean, no one's got a pot to piss in. We're all trying to figure shit out. I'd like to think I've never done anything like that. Hell, I'd like to think I'd remember if I did something like that. But I don't know. The only time I've ever gotten blackout drunk, and I can't tell you what I did, was actually at a Sony Christmas party. The Incredible Leaf, are you there in the chat? Do you want to speak? You're in the call and wait.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear?
I can hear me. I can hear you great. What's up, man?
Yeah, a few things before you boot me off like Simon Cowell.
It's only if you're boring. Don't be boring.
Yeah, okay, I'll be quick. So this Will Smith thing was one thing. People obviously go through things all the time, and we don't see the full extent of what they're going through. Sure. It could simply have been like Jada's like before the whole thing, she was really kind of like sensitive about the hair and all that.
Sure.
I don't think it's a color thing. I think it's literally just a personal thing, because he was having a joke, he was laughing, but then when he saw that she was upset, he got, he obviously felt that, you're upset, and I don't like see you like that, and
okay, but wait a second. Okay, so I'm assuming you're a black guy only because I'm looking at your avatar and it's a black dude. Are you a black guy?
No, I'm a white guy.
Oh, you just have a black avatar. Okay, so
I'm joking. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you're a black guy. Okay, I'm asking only because it's like I said earlier, I don't know enough about American black culture or Western world black culture.
Okay, one thing, I'll stop you. That British black culture and American black culture are very different.
Well, yeah, because you guys
to the extent that I went to the US once, and I was like, I went at Minneapolis, so like they don't see many black people, but I went to a shop and they responded to me one way like, oh, you're black, you're going to start some shit. But then as soon as I opened my mouth, they were like, oh, everything's cool. You're one of those good black people.
You're one of the good blacks.
So yeah.
But let's for the sake of this then, since, I mean, unless you have some insight into the American version of it, and you might, if you strip out the racial component, and I'm not saying you can, but if you just take it based on what you're saying, which is, it's got nothing to do with black women. It's got nothing to do with them being put upon by comedians and black men picking on them. It's got nothing to do with black women in their hair and all the stuff you hear. It's literally a guy tells a joke. His wife doesn't like it. He stands up and he goes and hits the guy. If that's the only thing we're looking at, then I think Will Smith's a moron.
He's a moron because he did it in such a public arena. If he wanted to do something like that, do it.
But why would you slap the guy for a joke? If Will Smith would have sat in the audience and said, "You're a motherfucking asshole," I'd go like, okay. Or if Will Smith would have gotten up, I mean, he didn't know he was going to win the Oscar, but assuming he was confident he was going to win the Oscar, and he was going to get up there and he was going to say something. I mean, it's easy after the fact, but if he said something like, "Before I celebrate this big moment that means a lot to me, here's what means more to me, my wife. And I just want to say, I know you're a comedian, do your thing, but I thought that was hurtful, and I hope you apologize to my wife." Something. But the fact that you act like a raging toddler because somebody...
People react, don't they? People get angry and they react. It's like if your son was like picked on by these idiots because of his sexuality.
Yeah, but define picked on. Define picked on.
People just idiots, just like very small-minded, like
no, but are they physically hurting him, or are they saying we think you're a loser?
No, but it's sometimes it isn't physical. Sometimes like words are as bad as a physical. I mean, literally, if he's very sensitive, if he's constantly picked on by these small-minded idiots, he's very sensitive to the extent that he actually thinks it's going to happen. And in different circumstances, because it happens to him so much, and you see that as his dad, it's gonna make you angry, even if it's like a silly joke.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with being angry. But if I'm walking around and I see somebody picking on my son and they're doing it with words, absolutely I will step in. But I'm not going to hit the guy. I'm going to step in and go. I'm going to use words until he uses physical expression, and then I'll use physical expression. But the idea that your first response is not to counter words with words. It's to stand up and hit somebody who I just don't know what to tell you. There's no way if you take the racial component out of it, which is the only component that I can tell you I can't understand.
I think sometimes people need a slap. But I wouldn't do it in a public arena like that. I'd find a way to do it.
You thought what Chris Rock said, though, even if it was in private, was a slap-worthy comment? He didn't say. No, he didn't say, Jada, you look so hot. I'm gonna fuck you in the butthole when your husband's not looking.
That wouldn't trigger me, but some people.
It wouldn't trigger you if somebody told you that your significant other was so hot that they're going to have anal sex with them when you're not looking?
No. I mean, what Chris Rock said to Jada, that wouldn't have triggered me.
But don't you agree? Don't you agree that if anyone that would get triggered by that, if there isn't a racial component, right? Don't you agree that that is a reflection of a human who probably has a lot of sort of therapy they need?
Sure, there's obviously stuff going on with him. You can just see, I remember watching some TV, some roundtable thing when he's talking about all the, it was him and what's his name, Samuel Jackson and a few other people, like really really famous people on a roundtable talking about films and and he didn't take Django because he just didn't think it was a massive film. He didn't think it was the race element. He didn't like it, and then someone asked a question to Samuel Jackson, like, "Oh, have you ever turned on a role because of He goes, "No, it's a fucking movie. It's a movie." And Samuel Jackson was kind of taking the piss out of Will, so you could see it. You could see he was kind of like goading him, and you could see he wasn't. Will Smith was kind of like getting a bit kind of like uncomfortable.
Gotcha. Yeah, all right. So, anything else you want to talk about?
I was going to talk about the whole Sony thing.
Hit me quick. Hit me quick.
Okay, it goes back to what you were saying earlier in the week, where it doesn't really matter what you think and what some consumers think, whether it's a good or bad deal. Sony are now almost in the kind of echelons of like Nintendo and Apple, in that their fan base is so strong that they can almost do no wrong, and they can offer up shit and Sony fans will take it. I don't know how long that's going to happen. I mean, I have everything, so
I do as well. I have everything, and I don't really give a shit. But ultimately, you're right. I mean, you can only push people so far, right?
Yeah, but I think it's going to need a great reset, like the PS3, which kind of tipped people over the edge. Where then that's when Sony thought, "Oh shit, we've gone too far," and then you see all the changes that happened after that. But
what do you think about this? What do you think about the fact that? Like, I get that fans of Sony are saying, like, if you believe, how do I put this? Fans of Sony who are saying what they announced yesterday is fine, or I'm excited, or I don't really like what Game Pass offers anyway, so it doesn't matter. I can respect that. But the fans of Sony that come out and say, well, Sony doesn't have the money to do day-and-date Game Pass, right? Almost as if they're saying, well, yeah, that would be great, but Sony doesn't have the ability to compete. Like that, like and there's been a lot of jokes going around about it, but it's like this one guy who I guess is like what they call an Xbot. I mean, I know he's an Xbot, but I hate the term. But here's what he said. I just got to read this to you real quick. He was talking about it, and he tweeted. This just was. It's so spot on to me. He says, "There's this one guy, Nick Mersile, I think I follow him. He follows me. He says, imagine Elon Musk opens a bakery next to yours and gives people as much bread as they want for $10 a month. He tells you that this is the future of baking. Then your customers turn to you and ask, why aren't you doing the same with your bakery? This is how Microsoft is trying to fuck Sony. And then this other guy says, oh, now Sony's just a little mom and pop bakery. Poor them. They don't make enough billions in profits already. Imagine saying that. It's like, you're competing. Okay, so if you can't afford to compete with Microsoft and you feel that Microsoft's way is the right way, then it sucks.
When you start apologizing for a corporation, things are fucked up. Yeah, I mean, Sony have got enough money to find ways to compete, and they're a pretty innovative company. They're much more than they're much more kind of like quick to react to trends than Microsoft are, and that's from time. I can see Microsoft still losing what they're trying to create because of who they are. Because like they've had so many opportunities in the past where they've innovated, where they come up with something brand new. Like they practically invented smartphones and smart devices. Yet Apple took their lunch, and now
they invented,
no one knows.
I think the VHS or the Beta, like whatever it's called, video tape recorder, came from Sony. They just couldn't. Couldn't make it work.
It was, but I'm saying Microsoft are the ones who normally f things up and fall behind.
I think there's a lot to go around, but I hear you. All right, man. Thank you for calling. I enjoyed talking to you. Call back anytime, buddy. See you soon.
Yeah, speak to you soon.
All right. Face Pines, let me get the chat, then I'll bring you in a second, Face Pines. All right. Let me get some of these chats. Thank you guys for waiting. Grandeur says, you don't need to know black culture to dissect what Will Smith did or bring race into it. Again, Grandeur, what I will tell you is, and even Mr. K says, white people are allowed to comment on shit. It ain't got shit to do with color. Let me explain something to you. It's a lot. You just said that white people are allowed. That's a true statement about white people. They are allowed. Here's another true statement about a lot of white people. They're sensitive as fuck. Okay, I'm not saying no one's going to take your precious right to say something about the Will Smith situation away from you. Just like no one's going to make it illegal to say the N-word. Okay, but it would do you some good as a human to go, why do I even want to say the N-word? It would do you some good as a human when you have a large percentage of the black community saying that there is a racial component to this. And when you have a lot of black women saying there is more than just black and white, there is female black and male black components to this. I'm not saying I agree with them. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they are deflecting. I am saying that when you have a large percentage of people who have an experience that you don't have and you can't have, and they're telling you there is a layer to this that you don't understand, and maybe you should educate yourself or at least keep an open mind. The decent human goes, that sounds logical. So I'm gonna continue to sort of understand what's happening. But you guys immediately jump to, they're not letting me comment. But why can't I comment? I want to comment. I'm white. I should be able to comment. No one says you can't comment. I'm just saying, allow yourself the humility of going, you don't know everything, right? Just like if I'm a game designer for 20 fucking years and you're telling me the way a game should be, and I'm like, yeah, but you have to understand there's this and that and the other thing that you don't, you can't tell me I can't comment. I didn't say you couldn't comment. I'm saying if you actually want to be a valuable part of the conversation, stop being so fucking sensitive and open your mind and allow yourself to go, I don't know everything. I don't understand everyone's perspective. And until I do, I'm going to sort of, make it clear when I talk about these things that there's a lot I don't know yet. Why is this hard? Why are people so insecure about this? Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Yeah, we talked about Bruce Willis earlier. You have to give credit to Chris Rock, says ST, for being the bigger man and not pressing charges. I just think he would have looked terrible, and I also think Chris Rock's going to make a shit ton of money now. Like, you saw the news today that his comedy tour, which I didn't even know he was on, tickets have gone from $85 for the cheapest seats. The cheapest seats are now $450 for the Chris Rock tour. So I think Chris Rock's doing just fine. I also saw, which blew me away, there was a poll that came out, and just so you know, your Papa Jaffe doesn't lie to you, there was a poll that came out today, which I don't know if I believe this is actually going to manifest. More people, this is the New York Post, more people will watch Oscars because of Will Smith's slap, meaning they plan on tuning in. 63% said they expect to watch next year's Oscars because of the Will Smith-Chris Rock feud. What? Are you out of your fucking mind? This is not normal. Unless the Oscars are like going, hey, wink, wink, it's all staged, just like wrestling. But you didn't hear it from me. And we can expect this every year, but then it's going to get boring. It'll be like the MTV Movie Awards. But come on. I don't expect this to be a regular thing, and I don't think anybody should. But we'll see. Hang on a minute. Let me get back to the screen. Okay. His wife says MacPac doesn't respect him. She slept with one of their kids' friends and refused to acknowledge it was cheating. I mean, well, they are in an open marriage. They are swingers, and so I guess it's not cheating. But, and again, I am not shaming these guys' relationship. If you want to be in an open marriage, if you want to be in an open relationship, there are days where I think that's probably healthier in some respects. If you want to swing, I think nothing wrong with that. But I think if you're going to do it, you got to be able to do it in a way that, you know, it does feel, and again, we don't know, you don't know, I don't know, but it does feel like Will Smith is not the recipient of the good part of that deal. And this may not be accurate, but it feels like Will Smith gets to keep Jada because she's like, well, this is what I'm going to do. And he's like, well, I don't want to not be married to you, so I'll put up with it. But I don't get the sense Will Smith, that idea came from Will. I don't fucking know. What do we know? What do we fucking know? But it is weird. And that plays into it as well. The judgment about, that's what's about masculinity. A lot of people I've heard say, oh, well, he's going up on stage because he's a cuck. And he needs, and everybody knows it now because of her talk show and things that she's publicly said. And in that, he has to show the world he's still a man. And that's not a black thing or a white thing at that point. That's a masculinity thing. And you know, hell, if you want to show yourself you're a real man, you know, let your, you know, unless somebody's accosting Jada Pinkett Smith, she can take care of herself. I have to, what are you doing, fighting for her honor? What are you, a fucking knight? That's so dumb. Then I saw that lady on The View the other day say, oh, it's so romantic. It's so sexy. Really? Really? Will Smith, really? Come on. Now, maybe if he had said something really hit-worthy, here's what would be sexy. Now, I don't like the men folk, but I'd fuck Will Smith for that. I wouldn't. But, well, if he paid me, I told somebody I'd suck a hobo for $1 billion. So, but anyway, if somebody said something to Jada and it was really out of line, like 95% of the world would say, dude, you literally, here's one of the worst things I could think he could have said. He could have said, you're bald because you have chemotherapy and you have cancer. You're probably going to be dead in 6 months, which means, but you're still hot now, and I don't have a lot of time left to fuck you, so I want to fuck you without Will watching, because I know Will likes to watch. Well, okay, most people would say that's hit-worthy. And let's say The Rock or, fucking John Cena said it. Hell, let's say Becky Lynch said it. Will Smith's small guy. But let's say John Cena said it, The Rock. And he gets up and he punches The Rock, and he knows he can't punch The Rock and have any success, then you could say, okay, that's kind of romantic. But otherwise, it's like he made a tame joke. The woman can't stand up for herself. Jesus fucking Christ. Come on now. Oh, come on, Fupy. Chris Rock made a very lazy joke, sure. And he paid the price. So what you're saying is there is a price you can pay for being physically accosted. Come on now. Come on now. All right, let me scoot on down here. Hello, Dave. Oh, it's David Jafari over from the YouTube. So this is going back to Grand Jour, because I was saying he's like, white people can say shit. All I literally said was that anyone can dissect what Will Smith did without talking about black culture. That's all I said. Never denied it. Never said there isn't variables to it. That doesn't make me a non-decent human being. No, but what you said, though, was, I didn't say you were a non-decent human being, but what you said, let me go back and find it. The nice thing about Twitter, or what is this, Twitch, is that you can actually, they don't have a limit to your scroll. You don't need to know black culture to dissect what Will Smith did or bring race into it. Good God, is what you said. Okay? Well, when I said it, I said, if you extract the black culture from it and you're just talking a male-female dynamic or a male-male dynamic or whatever, or a Hollywood dynamic or a fame dynamic, yes, you can have that conversation. But that's a nuanced way of explaining that you're looking at it through a very specific lens that is just more, it's more of a thought exercise. But the way you write about it is you're saying you can't, that you should be able to talk about it and extract race from it and it would be a valuable conversation. There's no value to this conversation if you extract the race component. Just like there's no value to this conversation if you extract the what does it mean to be masculine in 2022 component, right? Or the class component of these are some of the most famous privileged people in the world whining about a fucking tame joke component, right? You know, that's what I'll say. I apologize to you, sir, if what you wrote was more nuanced and I just didn't pick up on the nuance. That would be my bad, but that's not how it read, okay? That's what I'll say. Plus, some of my vitriol regarding that, not as a human, was saved for Mr. K. Mr. K above said, white people are allowed to comment on shit. It ain't got shit to do with color. That's cop-out. Mr. K not only is saying it's got nothing to do with color, which he's wrong, but Mr. K then, underneath your comment, to you says amen. So clearly he read your comment the way I read your comment, which was he was agreeing with you that this ain't a race issue. That's all I'm saying. So I apologize if I read you wrong, but that's what it read like. Okay, so this Blake says, anyone says the racial component is bullshit, and why does every single thing in the world have to be about race? I don't know, but I'm not saying it's racial. I'm telling you that the black community at large is saying there's a racial aspect. There's a racial aspect to it. Is there? I don't know. But I'm not a black person, and I'm certainly not a black woman. So I'm not arrogant enough to be able to go, I've decided that all the black people who have had the black experience in America. No, I know more. I'm an atheist that was raised Jew from Alabama who lives in a very privileged position. But nope, I know more. Sorry, it's not racist. Nothing racial about it. Come on. You know how ludicrous that is? I'm not saying you're wrong, and I doesn't forgive Will Smith for what he did. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying the idea that you're just going to take all of this commentary coming from the black community and act like, no, hell, one could argue that's racist in and of itself. Mr. K says, don't call me a non-decent human being. I did. Sorry. Suck it down, bitch. And I do what I do, though. I do consider that I haven't walked in someone else's shoes. I absolutely am sensitive to that. And with that in mind, I've made the judgment that they're wrong in suggesting it might justify what Will Smith did. No one, or I am not saying, Mr. K, that it justified him hitting anyone. It doesn't. I don't think that is the argument. No one said, was he justified in what he did because it was racially fueled? No one should be able to hit anyone else without suffering the consequences. No one, for whatever reason. But most humans agree there are lines that if you cross, very few people would have issue with it. Kind of like, I'm sure you've seen this footage. It's just heartbreaking, fascinating footage from ages ago. 5 years ago, ages. Where a dad is in the courtroom with it was either the murderer or molester of his child. And it's the sentencing, and the dad is able to stand up there and say some words about how it has affected their family and all these things so that it will affect the judge to help the judge determine what the sentence should be. And, you know, he's talking and it's chill. And then suddenly he's like a fucking puma, man. He just leaps and he goes after the criminal, the bad guy who's been convicted. Well, nobody who watched that, or the dad who beat the fuck out of, and he may have even murdered the guy who molested his child, everybody knows, yes, that's wrong. But most people would say, yeah, okay, I get it. Okay? This wasn't that to most people. But a lot of people are saying, in the black community, they're saying, well, you don't understand this, that, and the other, right? That's all I'm fucking saying. You got to keep an open mind. I'm not saying you're a bad person, but that's a bad take. In my opinion, we don't have to agree to be pals, pal. Okay, I'm reading the chat. Sorry, fellas. Bukaki says, I have the best takes. Everybody has said this. That's exactly right. That woman, says X-Power, will destroy that man's soul. When their joke of a marriage ends in tears, I'll bet Chris Rock will be there to support Will. I don't know about any of that you just said, but I will say it's an unusual marriage, but that's not bad necessarily. Aren't the Oscars, says Toby, jokes approved ahead of time? Well, sure, there's a script, but when you bring up comedians are going to comedian, you know? Mr. K says they're in an open marriage because she put her foot down. She practically gave an ultimatum, and that's the word on the street. I don't know. Since COVID, I'm not on the street much, sir. But I will tell you that, yeah, whatever reason. Yeah, Intoxicated says I put my keys in the fishbowl before I came into the chat. Is that every swinger party, or do you know that because of the ice storm? I didn't even know that until I saw the ice storm, what that reference was. If you don't know what he's talking about, swingers, I guess the idea is you come into a swinger party and you put your keys in a fishbowl by the door. And is it that you pull them out and whoever's keys you pull out, that's who you're taking home or they're taking you home? Or maybe it's the women put their keys, because unless you want to have sex with the same sex, I don't know enough about it. I was married for 15, 14 years, and I will tell you, never once did we get approached to swing. And I'm a little insulted. I wouldn't have said yes, but I'm a little insulted. Izzy's curse says, I hope you were kidding, because you sound pretty toxic. Why do I sound toxic, sir? Be specific. Jaffe says, Jay, tragic. At the end of the day is a hole. At the beginning of the day, a hole is a hole. It's a hole. Question of what you do with it. Okay, let me keep reading. Sorry, fellas. Heretic, thank you, buddy. Semi-related, he says, semi-related since it would be used to take a hit. Where can I get a wooden pipe like yours for my green, assuming yours is meant for green and not tight? I have no idea what they're meant for, because I do smoke the marijuana, but I smoke it out of a vape pen, and I also take edibles. This is just, I like them. I think they're fun to chew on. So I just got these off. Well, two of these I got. Somebody in England made this one for me, and another one that has Sweet Tooth on it that says Jaffe, and this one says Jaffe as well. This is like a custom one, but this one I got off Amazon for this is literally like $4. So and it's a real functioning pipe, but I couldn't tell you what you can put in there. I've never rolled my own joint or anything like that, so I don't know. LeBron says Jaffe hears the woke crowd talk and thinks they speak for everyone. No, I don't. Why is this so difficult? I didn't say I agree with the black community that are expressing that the conversation with Rock and Smith and Jada Smith is more nuanced and racial. I'm saying I don't know enough to know, but I'm humble enough that when is this just more of the bullshit culture of no one can be an expert, everybody has to have their opinion validated? Just like if I go up to my doctor says, that bump on your hand, don't worry, it's not cancer. It may be the start of some kind of rheumatoid arthritis, but you're still young enough that if it becomes that, we'll have plenty of time to catch it. And I'm supposed to go, nuh-uh, it's cancer. My opinion's as valid as yours. No, it's not. So if you've got the black community saying something, I'm not saying they're guaranteed to be right any more than the fact that the doctor could be wrong and you get a second opinion and it is cancer. But I'm saying that your attitude of just because somebody shows up with more experience, in this case lived experience, and in this case lots of people with lived experience, unless you're a black person in America, and says this is the way it is and this is why, they don't have to be right. But if you choose not to listen because it upsets your ego, you're a moron. What do you want from me? Bukkake Drive-By of the Quitter or Quitter. You guys got to change your band name. I've gotten to like your album. That's a really good album. I don't think your lead singer is good. That's the truth.
Oh my God.
I don't. Listen to me. There's one. Listen to me. There is one. He's good, but there's one song you guys have on the album that has this great. I can't do music, but I'll try to. I don't want to look it up, but it has like this great guitar riff that's like, right?
Yeah, that's After Midnight.
It's awesome, but that man cannot sing that song to save his fucking life. But it's a great. Come on, and you know it's true. But it's a great song.
What?
Dude.
I like the way he sings.
Do I need to bring it up and play it for the audience and have them judge it and vote on it? I can put a poll up right now. I can put a poll up right now.
That's rude.
It's not rude. It is not rude. I'm telling you, I love a lot of the music, and he's the singer of a lot of the music. But just like there are bands, I know I'm an old guy, there's a band called Chicago. They used to be really big in the 70s and 80s. They did like adult contemporary bullshit now. But anyway, they used to be
I feel like if you do the poll thing right now, everyone's gonna say it sucks because you already said you don't like it.
The song doesn't suck, but what I'm saying is in Chicago, they had a couple of different lead singers, and it's like, okay, this song, this guy's got a good falsetto, give that to Peter Cetera. This guy is really good with treble and all that shit, give it to this guy. I'm just saying that song, unless you guys want to rewrite some of those notes, he shouldn't be the man singing it because it's hurting you. Because it's a great fucking song. But regardless of that, it's a good album. It's a good album.
Keep my singer's name out your fucking mouth.
What do you want to talk about, Bukkake? That's it? That's all you want to talk about?
No. What part? Just the whole song, or is there a certain part?
I'll tell you offline. I'll tell you later. But what do you want to talk about?
Oh, I was just listening to you talking about this like Will Smith's thing, and like, I think what a lot of people kind of miss is that like, I watched that fucking clip, like it's funny, but he's laughing at the joke, and like Jada's like rolling her eyes or whatever, and then afterwards Chris Rock is like, "What? That was a nice one," like as if to say like, there's a lot of other shit I could joke about,
right? I mean,
in your marriage that I'm not fucking saying. And I think that's what set him off. I don't think the fucking...
But that, it's still... Do you know... Did you watch the whole clip of what he said before to Javier? I think it's Javier... it's Penelope Cruz is married to the guy in No Country for Old Men, whatever his name is. It's Javier Bardem or something like that. Well, before that, the joke came to Will Smith because the previous joke was, hey, Javier... I guess Penelope Cruz was up for an Oscar, and so was he. And I guess she had lost. And he says, you better hope you lose tonight, too. You better hope Will Smith wins. Otherwise, you can't win. Because if you win, you're going to go home to a wife that lost. And if you lose, well, you're going to lose. And so he could have known, you know, that's kind of saying, oh, that's sexist. And your marriage is so weak that, you know, that your wife can't handle you being successful, but her not being as publicly successful. I mean, if you're really fucking sensitive, sure, you could get upset with that. But most people, including Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz, took it as the joke that it was. So I understand that, you know, I mean, Will Smith is in a bad mental place. I think that's clear. I think that's fucking clear.
I mean, what has Jada been in where she would be up for a fucking Oscar anyway?
Well, that was that people are like, oh, well, this is not the first time that he came after Jada. He didn't come out. He's a comedian. And in 2016, Jada Smith made a brouhaha on her show or somewhere going, I'm boycotting the Oscars. And Chris Rock is like, that's like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited into Rihanna's panties. You're not a movie star. You weren't invited to the fucking Oscars anyway. So boycott it. That's not coming after a man's wife. That's coming after a public figure who is an actress who made a public statement. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And I mean, I've seen some of the stuff that you're talking about where they say that like, oh, black guys have been making fun of black women forever, and this is a deep rooted issue. But I'm like, they're black. Like, they talk about their life experience, right? They grew up around black women, presumably.
Okay.
Like what else? Like, if they make jokes about white women, it's okay. Like, I don't understand what the point of view is there.
I think, again, I don't have enough experience in this. It's not my culture, but from what I understand from people who are of the culture and who have spent more time with it, is that it's a form. Now, people are going to roll their eyes in the chat. I don't care. I'm not saying I agree. I'm saying this is the message that is coming out, and you can poo-poo it if you want, but I'm not going to poo-poo it. I'm going to keep an open mind because I haven't lived the experience. But the message is, it's kind of a form of misogyny and a form of proximity to power. In the same way that white women can be really shitty to black men, even though white women don't have the power that white men have. there's a sense of proximity. They have like 80% of the power, and that feels better than having none of the power. So they'll kind of dump on black people. Well, according to this theory, a lot of black men who obviously don't have the power of the white women, again, you can agree or not. I'm not saying I agree. I'm saying this is the theory. There's a lot of dumping on black women in comedy, in, making fun of like, all the black women are loud and raucous, and black women are strong. All this stuff that kind of puts them in a thing that doesn't really let them have the full range of human emotions and makes them less of a person and an individual and more of a caricature. Now, is that real? Is that overthinking? I don't know. I didn't say it. They're saying it, and I'm choosing to listen to it and go, yeah, I can't tell you what's real, but I trust you more than I trust me about the black experience.
I'm willing to listen to it, but I am also willing to say, like, you're overthinking it. You all are fucking crazy if you think
that may be. That may be, but at least you're willing to listen and go, I don't know, right? You're a drummer or a keyboarder. What do you do?
I play guitar, dude. Come on now. I also sing part of that song.
Well,
that's why I was asking
not the bad
what part you didn't like.
But
I sing the funny falsetto part in the chorus.
Well, that's a problem. But listen to me. But I wouldn't tell you how to play a fucking guitar if I'm like, dude, anybody can fucking do what Eddie Van Halen did, and you're like,
well,
dude, no, they can't.
I mean, that's a different fucking.
No, it's not.
That's like a bad comparison.
Why?
It is.
I don't have the lived experience of somebody who is busted my ass
because
to play guitar.
Because anybody can play guitar. Not everybody can be black.
Yeah, I'm not comparing guitar playing to the black experience. I'm comparing a human who has experience in anything, being black, playing guitar, studying medicine, driving a go-kart, to a human that doesn't, and the human that doesn't acting as if they have an opinion that should be as respected as the human that has the experience. That's what I'm comparing.
Well, yeah, I mean, you should listen to an expert over somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, but I don't know.
Well,
I just thought the guitar one was bad.
You're at least willing to listen. Maybe what you could do is listen to that song and realize, Bukaki, get somebody else singing that. All right, so
just tell me what part it is.
I will. I'll listen to it later and I'll call you. I'll text you.
All right.
Goodbye,
I want to know.
right.
I'm not going to share this.
Right.
I'm not gonna.
Whatever.
I'm not telling my singer what you just said.
I'm telling you. But wait. But what you could tell the singer I just said is that the album's really good. There's a lot of stuff on there that's good. I'm not saying he's shit. I'm saying, look. Do you think professional singers, do you think Taylor Swift sings every single fucking song that comes to her that she writes? Or does she go, I'd love to sing that song, but that one's not for me. Do you know what I discovered, Bukaki Drive-By?
What?
I discovered that Avril Lavigne, who I love, I think she's great, is not only the person who writes her own songs, she's written a bunch of hit songs for other people. And when they asked, it's like, well, why did you give that to Kelly Clarkson? She's like, me and the record label were like, this is a Kelly Clarkson song. I can't do this justice like she can. That's not saying Avril's shit, but you have to admit that every song is not for every singer. That's not an insult.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
I can agree with that.
Goddamn right. I'll talk to you later, Bukaki.
I mean, all right. I mean, I'm just saying, it's not like we get offered tons of songs. Those are just the ones we write.
Yeah, but you have all the control in the world. But they're good. I love that song. It's great. Re-record it with a different singer. Bye, Bukaki.
Bye-bye.
I'm not very popular today, friends. I'll tell you what. Okay. Mr. K says... he's talking. He says Mr. K and Jaffe should kiss and make up. Says Stig, and then Mr. K says Jaffe should suck my dick first, then apologize. I want to experience the Alabama twisty schlop combo. I don't even know what that is. Okay. Let me keep going. Okay, let's keep going. This is the Incredible Leaf. Says, the thing is, black men and women often have a combative relationship. It's often banter. Some black women think they're going for an upgrade by being with a white guy. There are so many variations. Yeah, I know nothing. He's a black guy. Incredible Leaf's a black guy. Guess what? I'm going to listen to his take on it more than mine. Isn't that crazy? Why would I do that? Kelly Clarkson, LeBron changed her name from Kelly Clarkson to Kelly Breon, I guess because she got married or something. Rob the VIP. Is this Rob the Mod? What am I doing on Twitch? I told you I'm doing the Twitch show in the morning, which is shoot the shit, talk to the chat, take calls, talk about any and everything. And I'm doing the game show on YouTube, so I keep them very clear, very different. Okay, I want to tell you something. This I thought was pretty fascinating. Listen to this for a minute. You know the movie Final Destination? Of course you do. They've made 10 of these goddamn things. I found this story the other day. I haven't even looked at it because I wanted to wait and share it with you guys. That's how kind and loving I am and all that good stuff. And this I'm trying to see who got the story. I think it was literally the website yeah, it's the website Bloody Disgusting. Bloody Disgusting went out on the 10th anniversary of Final Destination, which is, if you don't know, it's a movie where kids in the beginning of the movie, like teenagers, do something and they escape death. Like they can feel this is a bad accident's going to happen, so they get off the airplane. Lo and behold, the airplane blows up, and now death spends the rest of the movie going, you were targeted by me and I will take you down. And then it's all of this it's all of these horrible, crazy, bloody stunts that kick in and they die. Okay. Oh yeah, Boastman says, I enjoyed Final Destination 2 the most, the car crash. There's a great car crash one. There's the airplane and the very first one that blows up. That every time, listen to me. I got to tell you something. I'll get to this in a minute. But every time in that movie, Final Destination 1, if you remember, it opens with this kid. I guess him and his high school buddies are going on some student trip. And it opens and he gets on the airplane and, he's adjusting the AC and putting his books down and he kind of puts his tray table up, but the thing doesn't latch and it falls back down and it's, it's all the setup. Plane takes off, plane blows up, they all die. Then he wakes up in the airport, it was all a dream. So, oh, haha, it was all a dream. He gets on the plane and he realizes his tray table latch doesn't work. It's exactly like what he dreamed. And he's like, oh shit, this is going to happen. So he just loses his shit, gets off the plane, takes a bunch of his friends off the plane, and lo and behold, it's like in the background you see it. You see the explosion as the plane's leaving the runway, right? I mean, so every time since then I've gotten on a plane, I play with the latch to make sure it locks. But that's not the point. So Bloody Disgusting, which is a great horror website, they go out and they find this woman, what is her name? She works at Downtown LA Law, one of LA's leading personal injury law firms. And she says, by analyzing data from more than 300,000 ER visits, the injury law firm has been able to figure out the final destination death accidents most likely to happen in real life. All right, so here we go. The number 10 was from Final Destination 2. The number 10 accident... Wait, let me make sure I'm reading them in the right order. Okay, hang on. Here are the 10 most common Final Destination-related injuries. Are they going backwards? Hang on, let me see. Okay. Tanning bed deaths and burns. A tanning bed setting on fire is number 10. That happened in Final Destination 3. It's happened to one person in the year that they were looking at in the ER visits. Barbecue burns. Final Destination 2. From a barbecue explosion. Happened 10 times. That's number 9. Number 8. Roller coaster accidents. Great opening. Final Destination 3. There was a roller coaster crash. Look it up on YouTube. It'll blow your mind. It's great. That happens 14 times. Whether or not people died from it may not be 14, although you guys have to know the woman who got decapitated at Disneyland when she was doing Thunder Mountain. And then just this week, less than 7 days ago, there was a 14-year-old boy who went up in one of those, you sit in a chair and with a bunch of other people on the outside of a donut, and it rotates and it goes up and then free falls, goes up to the top, kid falls out, everybody's watching, his parents are watching, slips out from the thing, dies, it's terrible. Number 7, getting shot with a nail gun. That is from Final Destination 3. That has occurred 160 times. And these are ER visits. The number of ER visits in that time period, shot with a nail gun 160 times. Escalator malfunctions 211 times. That was in Final Destination, the first one. You get caught in the escalator gears. Top 5, here we go. The number 5 most regular accident, Final Destination style, lawnmower accidents. Final Destination 1, the rock shot through the eye socket by a lawnmower. So if you don't know what they're talking about, the guy's mowing his lawn and it goes over a rock and the rock goes and then shoots out, hits him in the eye and kills him. 229 lawnmower accidents every year, or whatever this period is. Number 4, scalded with oil. Final Destination 5, oil truck spill, 335. Number 3, Final Destination 3, crushed by weights. Lifting weights and having them fall on you and hurt you 930 times. Number 3. Number 2, scaling moving fences. Final Destination 5, cut in half by a metal fence. 2,121. I'm going to see if I can find you this picture really quickly. I don't know. Hang on. Impaled. I saw this. I don't know when this happened, and this was in all the papers. This was before the internet. So it was insane. Where? Oh, is this it? Is this it? Okay. I'm going to show you this. Now, there's no gore, and they have the parts kind of not blurred out. So you're not going to get any gore, but you'll be able to tell what happened. So if you can't handle this kind of stuff, turn away. This was in England, I think. Let me see. This was back to school horror as lad gets impaled through the throat on a fence the first day back after school. This is what it looked like. Here we go. Hang tight, baby. Hold on to your butts, as my friend says. Where's the thing? My friend Samuel Jackson. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Climbing the fence. Totally lived. Totally survived. It's totally fine. But this occurs relatively frequently, at least in the context of Final Destination style pain. Okay, now, final one. Where did it go? Did I lose it? Hang on. Let's go back. Oh, man, some of these accidents. Here it is. Okay, the number 1 Final Destination related injury, along with the number of real-life occurrences from the last year in the U.S. So it's 1 year. Ladder-related injuries. Final Destination 2, eye gouged out by a falling fire escape ladder, 4,162. So there you go. Be careful around ladders. Don't worry so much around tanning beds. But that's real science, baby. That's some real fucking science. Okay. Hello, Popcorn Jacob. Oh, good to see you, buddy. You've pierced your foot on a spike, says, I can't, sometimes when they put the names purple, I can't read it. Captain Gungadin. Oh, okay. Thank you, buddy. That sounds painful. That sounds fucking painful. All right, fellas. Well, look, that is it for Poop Shoot for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time hanging out. I will be back tomorrow. Well, I'll definitely be back Friday. Probably back tomorrow, but I'll be back tomorrow because I want to do this all week and then do the Gabbin' and Games in the afternoon to make sure that this is, workable. But Gabbin' and Games will be coming up later today. That will be the less interactive show, but it will be live with super chats and phone calls. We'll be talking exclusively about video games. But for now, ta-da, there you go. This has been Poop Shoot episode 1. You were here first, whatever that means. And it'll be going up on YouTube, a different YouTube channel. I'll tweet about it. If you don't know, follow me on Twitter at David Scott Jaffe. Go over to YouTube, type in David Jaffe or Gabbin' and Games. There's all kinds of videos, blah, 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 blah. I did not play Evil Dead on stream, X-Power, but that's because when you sign up for it, thank you, Rob. Rob just put the thing in the chat. Thanks, Rob. That's because when you sign up for the beta, which is already over, which was this weekend, there's a lot of things you can't stream it. You can't, you're not really supposed to say much of anything about it. So, what I played, I liked. Yeah, the video on demand will stay on Twitch for as long as they keep it up. It's not a problem. All right, fellas. Gabbing Games coming up 3 or 4 hours, maybe 5 hours. I don't know. It depends how long it takes to make it. But I'll see you guys soon. In the meantime, thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys next time. RPG. Oh, there's RPG. RPG's modding too. I didn't see it. Thanks, buddy. Okay, I'm out. If I can figure out how to turn this off, I'm telling you, it's been a while since I've been on the Twitch here. I see. All right, bye, everybody.